Sorry, man.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock, and this is our July 24th, 2025 Scott County Fiscal Court business meeting, and we'll call this meeting to order. Try to get started in a timely fashion. Got quite a bit on the agenda, and appreciate everyone being here. We will ask you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Ms. Hamilton, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hostetler?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Wallace?
Here.
Mr. Corman?
Present.
Mr. Ellison?
Here.
Mr. Pratt?
Here.
Mr. Livingston?
Here.
Mr. Culbertson?
Here.
Judge Covington?
Present. So with that said, let the record reflect that we have a quorum and can conduct business. First item on the agenda is the consideration of our previous meetings minutes. Any questions or comments regarding those minutes as presented? Motion from David Livingston.
Second.
Second. Any other question or comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Transfers as presented. Any questions or comments? Motion from Mr. Rick Hostetler.
Second.
Second from Mr. Wallace. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Bills and hand checks as presented. Any questions or comments?
Motion.
Motion from Kelly Corman.
Second.
Second from Mr. Jones. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That leads us to the next item, number 7, but we'll skip down and come back to that one. That leads us then to number 8, Resolution 2511, RV moratorium extension. I will ask Mr. Culbertson to read the draft extension and then have any discussion and then go from there.
All right. Scott County Fiscal Court Resolution 2511, a resolution to further extend a moratorium on the Georgetown-Scott County Planning Commission's acceptance and review of applications for the establishment of RV campgrounds. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court adopted Resolution 2428 on December 27, 2024, which established a 6-month moratorium on the Georgetown-Scott County Planning Commission's receipt and review of applications for the establishment of RV campgrounds in Scott County, Kentucky. And whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court adopted Resolution 2510 on June 13, 2025, which extended the moratorium for an additional 2 months. And whereas the Planning Commission needs additional time to complete the tasks outlined in Resolution 2428 and Resolution 2510 and described herein. Now therefore be it resolved by the Scott County Fiscal Court as follows: that the moratorium established in Resolution 2428 and extended in Resolution 2510 on the Georgetown-Scott County Planning Commission's receipt and review of applications for the establishment of RV campgrounds in Scott County, Kentucky is hereby extended until December 27, 2025, and that all other terms of those resolutions remain in full force and effect this 24th day of July 2025.
Questions or comments related to that? And then I would turn everyone's attention to the screen. The Planning Commission has scheduled a public meeting, community meeting, regarding the draft RV ordinance for July 31st, 2025 at 6 at the public library. So trying to get good feedback and engagement before we move forward with the draft. And that's part of the request behind the extension of the moratorium. So I think this is a great idea. I think it's always good to get feedback. Comments, Chad, or Rob?
Just the timeline, everybody did get a copy of the draft ordinance, am I correct? Okay, I thought you said if you hadn't sent out, I'll send it out.
Yeah. Won't we send that out?
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, but after the public meeting, the first meeting in August, I believe the Planning and Zoning Commission is going to address this, and then it will be back to fiscal court toward the end of August after they make an action, or it may take them a couple of meetings, but it'll come back to our court at some point. So that's the timeline.
Any other comments or questions? Motion. Second from Mr. Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll circle back. Jailer Broyles, how are you? I'll turn it over to you for the Scott County Detention Center quarterly report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, Judge. Good evening, magistrates. This is the first quarter report from 2025. Sorry it's a little bit late. I just got busy with budgetary things and personal items and didn't get it to you before now. The physical plant, we didn't really have anything that impacted the physical plant in the first quarter. The staffing levels, we were fully staffed as far as our full-time staff. Part-timers, we had 12. Today, we've got 121 inmates in the facility. And looking back at January, February, and March numbers, they were respectively 137, 130, and 135. And again, those are the highs for the month, the peak that we hit. Additional information, the road crew picked up in the first quarter, January, February, and March, about 215 bags of trash and 8 needles. They were not out picking up a tremendous amount of trash just because the road conditions and the weather was so bad. They also completed work for the Georgetown Housing Authority. As of today, we've had 34 participants on the net device. 12 of them have been released to rehab, 8 are still at SEDC, 14 have been released to the street, and 9 have removed themselves from the device. We did just have 2 that completed it yesterday, and both were referred to Isaiah House for follow-up rehab, which is exactly what we want.
That's what we want.
Yep.
No, I appreciate that extra piece of information. I think it's awesome that we're continuing to try to help people that are struggling and doing it right here at our own facility. So questions or comments from anyone?
Darren, has the net device people stated how it's going as far as,
So
is it going like they expected?
at our facility or statewide?
Yeah, just at our facility.
Yeah, they're really happy with how things are proceeding at our facility. I think they've hit some stumbling blocks at other facilities, and the rollout at other facilities has not been as smooth as what they would have liked. But all indications to me from them are that they're really happy with the relationship that we have with, or that they have with Scott County.
Thank you, sir.
And I will say the 2 that just came off of it, similar kind of response that we've been getting from all of the other participants. I can't think of one participant that completed the program that has not had this response, but very positive feedback and just how it has positively impacted them. And so hopefully this is, again, an opportunity for them to kind of get on the right path.
Rick Hostetler.
A couple things. One, it just kind of popped into my head. I'm sure I shared it with the court probably 3 months ago. When was KET?
That was about 3 months ago, yes.
So maybe we should put that interview from KET on the Facebook page if you want to, so that the community could see the results of, because they're not only is Jailer Broyles interviewed about the device, but 3 inmates that have been treated at the time are interviewed too, and so you get their testimony. The other thing was, you were talking about other counties. Excuse me. Representative Tate, I think, was at our ribbon cutting.
From Meade County.
Yeah, Meade County, that's,
Yeah.
and so I talked to her briefly, and they're actually treating, she's really, I didn't know she knew about it, and she, oh, we're using that in Meade County. I said, what about your jail? She said, oh, yeah. So apparently, they're having some positive results. I don't know how long, I didn't think to ask her how long how long it's been since they partnered, because it takes a little while to get it up and going, as you
Right.
know. So, anyhow, so that's a little positive to hear from Meade County.
Oldham County, which is a fairly large, affluent county on the edge of Jefferson County, they have, in the last month and a half or so, started using it. And Davies County,
I think
Is
Franklin
looking-
County's using it.
yeah, Franklin County's using it. Davies County, their detention facility, I think is like 700 beds. And so that would be a really big one for the net device to get into. And so they're looking at it as.
I think Shelby County signed on
That's right, yes.
as well.
Yep.
So,
Well, we'll continue to want to hear your updates, and then I know that just from seeing, you've had inmates out a lot here lately, and
Yeah.
JR and I were talking about that the other day, just saw them several different places, so appreciate that. It's a big impact, and any other comment?
Yeah, so, Terry, this is from January, February, and March.
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Does the folks not shovel snow anymore?
We have.
Because at one time they cleaned the courthouse, but
That's
do they
right.
not do it anymore?
Honestly, JR, we haven't really been asked to do it this year. So we don't mind doing it. But, yeah, it hasn't really come up. Also, the sidewalks around the
Right.
county attorney's office, sheriff's office.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything. We're available if that need is
Okay.
needing
Maybe
to
we
be
can
filled.
try to coordinate more next fall, this fall as we get closer and
Yeah,
navigate.
yeah, I think JR knows. I mean, if anytime he wants to call, or if we just want to work out that is our responsibility to keep that clear, then we can certainly do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Rick,
I'm just wondering, Jailer, going back to the numbers, how you feel about that? I know these are 6 months old, or not quite six, but just how you feeling about the numbers and how it's going with these?
The numbers as far as,
Well, some of these are, they're borderline high for how many people you have and how many beds we really
Right.
have available.
yeah, it's obviously higher than what I want it to get because on any given night, I mean, the SO could have a busy night and bring in 7 or 8, and if we're up to 135, it could put us over that 140 threshold that I don't really want to get over. So this is higher than what I'd like for it to get, just because we don't know what's coming in on any given day or any given night. So I've been trying to keep it more in the 120s, especially with summer being kind of a busy time for law enforcement. I'm trying to give us a little bit more of a buffer down there.
So what about, I was going to ask you that next. What are the numbers looking like this summer, this spring and summer?
So we've been pretty busy. The month of July, we've been pretty busy. In June, we were pretty busy.
They're coming in chunks. Like, it seems like there's 6 or 7, or there'll be 1 or 2.
Right. I think a week ago Friday, they brought in maybe 12 just on Friday night's shift. And that was PD and SO and KSP. But it does kind of come in waves, like Chad mentioned.
Just thank you, Judge.
any other questions or comments? Jailer, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Is he not doing the software?
We can do it now
Oh.
on new business.
With the software?
Jailer Boros, we do have to talk about that software, and we'll do that during new business.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sheriff Nettles, can you come on up and let's talk about item number 9? Sheriff Nettles and I talked about this, and I've shared it with you all, and Cam has done a resolution, and really think this is an appropriate gesture to recognize service and commitment from Caleb Conley, and let you make some comments, Sheriff.
I think it's a fitting tribute for the work that Caleb did here, the way he presented himself on the job and off the job. I think it's a fitting tribute for him. And in full support of this.
So, just with the construction of the new sheriff's office, the roadway that's where the sheriff's office is, where the road department is, has never really been named. It was just a county drive that we put in, and planning and zoning shares that if we want to name that and do a resolution in support of naming it Caleb Conley Way or Caleb Conley Court, would certainly be open for input and feedback from any member of the court or sheriff.
I'm in full support of Caleb Conley Way, Caleb Conley Court, whatever the court decides on the way or court or circle. I'll leave that up to the court.
I personally like way better.
You like way
I like
better.
that way better.
I prefer court because it's a dead end, and most courts are dead ends.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about Caleb's way.
His
of
way.
service.
I understand. You're,
That's all.
yeah.
We also have a Betsy Way right there.
That's my only concern, Judge, is that it makes you think if you're outside that it's going to take you to somewhere else, and I totally respect what Rick's saying.
It's going to take you to the dog park.
It might take you down to the creek if you
Yeah.
just keep on going.
There could always be a sign put there with JR dead end if we're worried about people getting lost.
Does anyone else have any feedback about, way or court? The big thing is the gesture
That's right.
that will be there. And then the other piece is the official address of the actual sheriff's office being 240. The significance is,
That was his unit number.
so that was
yes.
his unit number, and, having the sheriff's office 240, Caleb Conley, whatever.
You almost said it, just wait.
Let me ask you this, Judge. I know that Monica is currently working on designing our park, and we've talked, she's met with Tim and JR and you about doing parking lots and another wagon wheel. And you think the potential for that road to either connect to the existing or current entrance into the park, so it would make a loop
Way.
or a circle?
A way around there.
Well,
You understand my question?
there's no question, and just to comment on that, we'll have to officially, make a decision to have them do the design, but we have preliminary, spoke with them, and one of the first things they brought up was you're going to have a consideration for more parking. So, Mr. Wallace, that could happen. If you're going to build more fields, you got to have more parking, and having that as an option could be an option that they present. So that's the best answer I can give you.
Right.
Any other comment from?
Will that change the road department's address?
I believe they could be able to keep the same address.
JR, yours is 105 Betsy Way, and I mean I don't see any reason why to change it.
We could put a no outlet sign if we go with
Yeah.
Caleb Conway Way on the same pole.
Yeah.
Judge, I don't want to get anything any more muddier than it needs to be, and I'm okay with making it Caleb Collins Way as long as we can put on there no exit or no outlet.
So let's
If that's a motion, I'll make it.
we got to read the resolution. Let's read the resolution and then we'll move on.
Okay, Scott County Fiscal Court Resolution 2512, a resolution opening and establishing a public road designated as Caleb Conley Way. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court has approved the construction of a new Scott County Sheriff's Office County Clerk's Annex, which is opening in the summer of 2025, God willing. And whereas an unnamed road exists which services the Sheriff's Office County Clerk's Annex, as well as the Scott County Road Department, which is shown on Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein. And whereas pursuant to KRS 67.083, Section 3T, the fiscal court shall have the power to issue regulations for the provisions of streets and roads. And whereas pursuant to KRS 178.115, whenever the fiscal court of any county deems it to be in the best interest of the county to open or establish a public road, the fiscal court shall adopt a resolution setting forth the necessity for the public road, and thereupon the public road shall be deemed opened and established on behalf of the county. A certified copy of the resolution shall be posted at the courthouse door of the county within 5 days after its adoption, and a certified copy of the resolution shall be posted by the county road engineer of the county along or at the proposed road structure within 5 days after its adoption. And whereas the fiscal court deems it to be in the best interest of Scott County to open or establish a public road to provide the public and county personnel with access to the Sheriff's Office, County Clerk's Annex, and Scott County Road Department. And whereas Deputy Caleb Conley, who passed away in the line of duty on May 22nd, 2023, served the Scott County Sheriff's Office with distinction worthy of honor, recognition, and appreciation by the fiscal court and the citizens of Scott County. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Scott County Fiscal Court as follows, that 1, it is in the best interest of Scott County to open or establish a public road to provide access to the Scott County Sheriff's Office, County Clerk's Annex, and Scott County Road Department. 2, that said public road, which is designated on Exhibit A attached here too, shall be opened or established upon adoption of this resolution. 3, that in recognition and honor of his life and service to Scott County, said road shall be designated as Caleb Conley Way. And 4, that pursuant to KRS 179-330, Section 3, the fiscal court hereby authorizes that signs bearing the name of Caleb Conley Way be placed on the road. Approved this 24th day of July, 2025.
Questions or comments?
Make the motion.
Motion. Second. Kelly Corman with the second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Judge.
Sheriff Nettles,
And
thank you.
magistrates.
And while you're standing there, just, I believe we got our electrical green sticker. We're trying to get that certificate of occupancy at the new sheriff's office project. It's really getting close. Our target is August 4th for everybody being moved in, but you got furniture out there. It's
coming together.
It's come together, and then we've got Rebecca Johnson, and she is here with us tonight. And Rebecca, your crew's been out there moving stuff in, and software management from Frankfurt's been out and put a lot in. So
we're moving in the right direction.
we're in the right direction. We're close. I used to tell the kids when I was at Scott County High and we were close to graduation, I like to go to the beach, and I'd tell them, hey, we're at that point where you can roll the windows down, you can smell the salt in the air. So you can smell the salt in the air. We're close. We're close. So appreciate everybody's work on that. A lot of work's gone into it.
I had an opportunity to go over this afternoon. It's really looking good, really looking good. I think they've got one little glitch, and I talked to Ian Beatty, and he said the state inspector's due back tomorrow or Monday, but they're pretty confident they've got the problem.
Fire alarm.
But I think they fixed it today.
Yeah, they were supposed to come back today and address
And I
that.
think they did. I think somebody over there at the ribbon cutting told me that they got the fire alarm in order. So if that's the case, when that guy comes back, it'll be a done deal.
Right.
But Ian said he thought Friday or Monday at the latest, the inspector's schedule.
So thank you all.
But it really looks good.
Comment, Rebecca, you can come up, but David Livingston has a question.
I just had a real quick question about, I heard some titles, and do we have a title of a road engineer? Is that another one we gave to JR?
Well, that's in the statute, and I guess for purposes of this resolution, yes.
It's like working at a bank. You get a new title, you don't get a raise.
That's right.
Rebecca, come on up if you have a question.
Yeah, Judge, if you could just restate this
Okay.
to me. We had something delivered by mail service just today at 109 Betsy Way. So I think the resolution just passes. It's great. Just for clarification, can anybody comment on when that will transition to the new address?
Well, I will reach out to Planning and Zoning tomorrow and ask them to navigate it. And we'll send them the signed resolution and try to get that all wrapped up so there's less confusion.
Post office. Yeah.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. EMS promotion, Jeff Mudrack. Before Jeff starts into this, several of you all were there today. We did the ribbon cutting at the new EMS station, and then we also did a blessing of the Safe Haven baby box, and just had a great ceremony, and I think the place looked great, and appreciate all the hard work that our EMS staff put in, and just it was a true team effort. I just wanted to mention that we did do that, and it was very successful. So I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you. And also, we have a couple of special guests today that we're going to be recognizing and recommending for promotion. They are Megan Isaacs from EMT to paramedic, as well as Lexi Bowman. I know she goes by her given name, Sarah, but I know she goes by Lexi. All right, so they'll both be effective on August the 2nd, and the new pay rate for Megan will be $18.94 an hour, and the new pay rate for Lexi will be $19.45 an hour. So they both have obviously challenged themselves and enhanced their careers, and we're very proud of the fact that they have transitioned and gotten this promotion with us here with Scott County. So, Chris?
Judge, magistrates, good evening. I asked these two young ladies to accompany me this evening. They are the 14th and 15th paramedics that just passed our course, and makes this the second paramedic course that we've graduated with a 100% pass rate. So
That's incredible.
And if I can ask a favor, can we get a quick pic for our social media?
No, yeah, you know it. But like, ladies, congratulations, and we are just really appreciative of your service, and also grateful that you had the opportunity to go through the program, and it's meeting the needs of our community, and you all are a prime example of hard work and making an opportunity for yourself. So kudos to you, and I think we need to vote on this.
Motion.
Is there a motion? Motion second from Mr. Hostetler. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Didn't think so. It's passed. Congratulations. Let's take a picture. Now let's turn it around and let's get it with them. We have an EMS training travel request. Next item.
Yes, so I have two out-of-state training requests. The first one is for paramedic Maddie Williams to travel up to Columbus, Ohio for some special operations training. She's doing the strike force training up there. The training is actually free. We just will incur some lodging expenses and some travel expenses of about $600. That's in our travel budget, so we're good there. You want me to do both?
Do both.
Okay, the next one is for our Division Chief of Training, John Osterman, to go down to Orlando for an educators conference. Both of these are next month, and that will be about $2,500. I say about because we don't, he doesn't have his hotel reservations nailed down yet, but
Question or comment?
That money is
Say, does
also.
one feel lucky and one don't? Columbus, Orlando?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
somebody
make
got
a
the
motion.
short stick.
I'll make a motion on it.
Motion second from Mr. Hostetler. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all. Road Department new hire. JR and Jeff Mudrack.
Yes. On behalf of J.R. Brandenburg, I want to recommend the appointment of Kevin Mahoney as an equipment operator with CDL effective August the 11th. Kevin has several years of related experience in the field, and he also has his Class A CDL license, which is a definite plus for the position. Based upon the work experience he has provided us so far, we know that without a doubt he can earn $22.69 an hour. It may be slightly higher. There's a couple more jobs I'm waiting on getting the information from, and as soon as I have that, of course, he'll just fall into the pay scale where he should. So I'd present that recommendation to you for your approval.
Sounds like a good candidate with a lot of experience.
Absolutely.
Motion.
Motion from David Livingston, second from Rick Hostetler. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Jeff or JR, do you have any openings, or has this got you at full staff, or?
We have one seasonal that Jeff and I are trying hard to fill, and we're trying to find a fit for each other, so we're working hard on it.
But all the full-time positions are filled with this appointment, yes.
So this next agenda item, I'm going to ask Chief John Ward to come up, and we've got a PowerPoint to share, but, this is, as I shared via email, just a proposal and for informational purposes and questions and answers today based on rank consolidation, and do not desire, I don't desire any action to be taken. I think the good opportunity today to listen to the proposal and then look at it from all angles, and then we can come back at the work session, answer any questions, and then the pleasure of the court, we can go from there. But Chief Ward, I'll turn it over to you and Chief Baker.
Judge, magistrates, thank you all for your time on this. Again, we're just wanting to give you the information and kind of give you, why our reasoning is on this request. This has been something that I think has been in discussion even before I got here, and even since I've been here, this has been a discussion topic. But basically, what we're looking at is doing a reorganization, and this involves basically our company officer positions. And currently, for the company officer position, we have a captain rank and we have a lieutenant rank. So we're looking at doing that reorganization and basically elimination of that level of supervisory position. And instead of having, for the company officer, instead of having a lieutenant and a captain, that we would just have one rank title for the company officer position. But that's kind of what we're looking at, or what we're trying to propose, and we'll kind of go through it and give you reasons why we believe this would be beneficial to us as a department, operational. The next slide, please. Yeah. So basically, when we started looking at this, you look at the lieutenant job description and you look at the captain job description, and those two job descriptions are almost identical. There is very little difference in those two job descriptions that exists. And the day-to-day thing, what a lieutenant and what a captain does is almost a mirror of each other. So then that was a question of, well, if they're so close and they're doing the same job, then why do we have two different ranks? So, we believe that could be best served as having one rank. And removing that extra title will also reduce some confusion in that as far as, operations, simplifying that, and improving the internal communication within the department. But like I said, they are almost, what they do is identical to each other. Next slide. And then we looked at, what are similar departments our size that are around us? What are they doing? And what we found is for their company officer position, they have one rank. The majority of people around us have the rank of captain serving as a company officer position. The city of Frankfort, they do have a rank in there, what they call sergeant, and basically that is a person that's assigned to drive every day. So there is a little bit of rank, or a difference in rank with the city of Frankfort. The Franklin County, it's one officer rank, it's captain position. I'm not a real big fan of having a sergeant position, because the way we operate is the company officer is always riding in the passenger seat, and the other two firemen, my opinion, instead of having a designated sergeant position for that, is they rotate. So today, one of the firemen is driving. The next shift, the other fireman. So it allows flexibility. That way we're not just dependent on, because that training of being a driver and being a pump operator, that needs to be spread out to all firefighters, not just one. So that's kind of the way City of Frankfort does it. City of Lexington, they do have a captain and lieutenant ranks. But the City of Lexington is a lot bigger department than what we are. What we looked at is departments similar in size to what we are, and that's usually for a company officer is a one rank position. Mutual aid, we do a lot of automatic aid with Georgetown Fire Department. They have one officer rank, that's captain position for the company officer. We do those numerous automatic aid calls we go on, we've never had a problem, but this, if we were able to only have one officer rank, then when we show up, they show up, just because their company officer is a captain and ours happens to be a lieutenant, there could be, well, he thinks maybe he's in charge. To me, that would eliminate that as well, but, with the mutual aid stuff. Next slide. The promotional process. Right now, we contract out with a company that comes in and basically conducts our promotional process for the company officer position. That's for lieutenant and that's for captain. So, a set of books is assigned for them to read. We discuss that with the company. Scenarios are discussed and provide, so they have to take a written test, they have to do a set of scenario skills, and then we do an oral interview. But even that company that we contract out with that puts on these promotions, those two promotional processes are almost identical. But because we had a captain and lieutenant rank, then we felt like we had to do a little more. So we threw an extra book in for the captain's testing, and we threw like one or two scenarios in just so we can make it different, because that's what we're faced with a lieutenant, we're faced with a captain, so it's just to make it a little different. That's what we do promotional, but for that. So if we were to eliminate one of the company officer positions, then that is money savings there with that company, because we're paying additional money to be tested for captains and lieutenants. So that would help us and assist us, potentially cost savings as well on the promotional path. Next slide. So the improved staffing flexibility. Right now, we have 3 captains, so every third day we have one captain on duty every third day. So right now we assign the captain position at Station 1. That's the station that will run, usually 2 trucks out of, so you got the engine, the ladder, and the rescue truck. So the way it sits right now, we kind of designate our captains, that captain rank, to ride the rescue truck, to be the company officer of the rescue truck. And I'm not sitting here saying that any of our 3 captains are not certified or not, trained to ride. They are. But what I'm getting at, we do have people, other company officers that have this tech certification, whether it be rope tech, swift water tech, the trench tech. So those are higher level training. Our rescue truck carries the multitude of that technical type stuff on it. But, because we designate, the captains. So I guess what we're getting at, sometimes we may have a lieutenant at an outside house that has more certifications tech-wise that would be more suited to be on that rescue truck than maybe, say, the captain that's currently there. So that would give us operational flexibility to be able to move people around, put people in positions where they are going to be best served. Because if you have somebody that's really certified tech training, but he doesn't happen to be a captain and he's a lieutenant, well, he doesn't get that opportunity to ride the rescue truck, because right now we designate our captains to be on the rescue truck. So that would help us with that as well. So basically, whenever the battalion chief is off, we depend upon, currently right now, the captain to step up and ride in a battalion chief spot to fill that role. And, there may be lieutenants out there that are very interested in one day promoting to the battalion chief. Well, they don't get that opportunity to ride it, because right now we designate our captains to ride in that battalion chief spot when they're off. This would give people more opportunities to step up, gain that experience as riding as a shift commander. So that would help us. And we're currently working on policies that, in order to ride up in those spots, such as for a battalion chief or ride up as a company officer, that we would put requirements like you have to shadow that company officer, that battalion chief, for so many hours. You have to have this amount of time on. So we're setting the stage for this, but it would give people more opportunity that do want to move up within the organization, that ability to basically have that experience as riding up into the shift commander role. So next slide. So again, okay. So another part of this, and like what I just began to talk about right there is, being able to gain that experience riding up as the battalion chief, the shift commander. Whenever that battalion chief, we have a battalion chief that decides to retire. We want to have a broad pool of people, because we want to put the best people in spots to fill those roles. So, if we had one company officer rank, then when a battalion chief goes to retire, there would be more opportunities for people to apply. And currently right now, a lieutenant can apply for a battalion chief spot as long as they have, was it 3 or 4 years, 3 years supervisor experience. But with that, let's just say they can apply, and say you have captains apply. But at the end of the day, we go through the interview process, and we really feel that this company officer would best serve as a battalion chief for the retirement of the one that's getting ready to retire. But he happens to be a lieutenant rank. And there's also 2 captains that apply for the same position. But we really feel this lieutenant potentially may be the best person to fill that role. But if we were to make that decision, then it's the whole stigma of, well, we just allow somebody to jump rank because we promoted a lieutenant over a captain. If all company officers were the same rank, then we wouldn't have to deal with that. And again, we would get that flexibility that we're able to put the best people in the best spots to fill the roles. So, that broaden the talent pool. So next slide. On this, just a clear chain of command. So basically, if we only have one company officer, our rank would be a firefighter, captain, battalion chief, assistant chief, chief. The way it is right now, like I said, our captains are housed at Station 1. Lieutenants are at the outside houses. Let's say we have a lieutenant at outside house has a personnel issue. If we're truly following the chain of command, that lieutenant should call up Station 1 and talk to his captain prior to having a discussion with the battalion chief. In my opinion, especially personnel matters, the least amount of people you have involved, the better. And it shouldn't be, if a lieutenant is having an issue with one of his firefighters, he shouldn't have to call the captain and discuss it with the captain prior to calling the battalion chief. And I'd say probably a lot of times the lieutenant is calling the battalion chief instead of the captain. But if we're trying to continue to follow this chain of command, then, only having one company officer rank, the outside company officer at the outside house just calls straight to his battalion chief. This would enable us to better handle those situations. It would streamline things. It would reduce delays in decision-making potentially. So again, another reason for this recommendation. Now, next slide, as far as transition cost, because I get it, you all have to, you got to make decisions, and part of that decision is looking at the money and trying to make sense to approve something and how much it's going to cost the county, because, again, we all got to stay and work within our budget. We have met with our chief officers. In a chief officers meeting, we've had discussion about what our proposals are, so we've talked with them. We have also had discussion with our 3 current captains. We've met with them, and that meeting consisted of me, Chief Baker, and Jeff. So all these meetings were the 3 of us meeting with all those folks. And then we also met with all 12 lieutenants, because, pay that, out of all the discussions that we had, there was a lot more favorability as far as what we're recommending here. Thought it made sense. Operational, it thought it made sense. But the biggest complaint that we heard in all those meetings is the pay. So if you take a lieutenant and now they're called a captain, why do I not make what the current 3 captains are making? So that was, Jeff and Chief Baker can correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, that was what was negative about this whole recommendation, this whole proposal. We told the 3 captains that, you're not going to, we're not taking your pay away. So that was no question, but it was the 12 lieutenants, if now I'm going to be called a captain, then should I not make what the current captains are making? Again, that's a discussion, because ultimately you all are the ones that would approve or did not approve that. But, again, just looking at everything and, again, I go back to the job descriptions. You got 2 job descriptions. They happen to have a different name at the very top, but you read down through them and they're exactly almost the same. And the day-to-day operations, a captain sitting in the seat as a company officer versus a lieutenant sitting in a seat as a company officer, they're doing the same job. They got the same number of people underneath of them. And I guess that's why we're recommending this, is there's really no difference. They're basically, no matter what you want to call them, they're company officers. They got the same duties and responsibilities as the other company officers at the outside houses.
Questions or comments?
So if the job descriptions are for the most part the same or similar, and these lieutenants are not going to be required to do any additional duties, then the pay, I know the title's different, but in theory, the pay, what they're getting paid for to do these job duties, I can see that's my biggest concern is nothing's really changing except for their title, and it's going to help stream flow, workflow, everything better.
Yeah. Here's the kind of downside of this is if we were to consolidate and only have one rank for company officer, and we don't move pay, we don't adjust it, then let's just say if we didn't do anything, kept it exactly the way it is, and we had those 3 captains. Well, when one of those captains either gets promoted up to BC or retires, that's a promotional opportunity for the 12 lieutenants to be able to promote and get that spot and get more money. So by doing this, we're basically eliminating a promotional step, which in turn relates to pay.
Sure. But they're not really taking on any more job duties by being a captain now. But they want that lieutenant jobs because it pays more money per hour, and I get that.
Is the primary difference, the captain rides up primarily as a backup BC
That's correct.
as compared to the lieutenant?
And that's the way it is right now. So if a battalion chief is off, then that captain on duty that day will step up and ride in their spot and fill the role of that battalion chief. There have been occasions, there's been occasions where, for whatever reason, how it fell through the cracks, that a battalion chief and captain were both off that day, and we had a lieutenant ride up. There are occasions where that happens. That a lieutenant would ride up.
And as you move forward, I think you've mentioned some possible additional in-house training to essentially qualify to ride up as BC.
That's right. Like what I said earlier, we were working on policies that basically would put stipulations that you have to meet these requirements before you're eligible to ride up as a battalion chief. That's correct.
What other questions or comments? Kelly Corman.
So what is your suggestion on the pay issue?
Well, like I said, I almost feel like there needs to be something. I don't 100% know exactly what that is, and we've been brainstorming about what that could look like. Because again, if we were to consolidate these, then we're basically potentially eliminating a promotional opportunity for somebody down the road. And I guess
No, I understand all that. It's just it's tricky. So
yeah.
But on the flip side, you have the three current captains. When attrition takes place, and they move up in the leadership spot or they retire, then everybody's going to be kind of where those lieutenants are all going to be on the same page. So it can kind of take care of itself that way as well. So instead of looking at moving the lieutenants up, you can also say, well, these three captains, when they're gone, all the other 12 lieutenants will be on the same page. I mean, there's two ways to look at this.
And like I said, we've been brainstorming, different options or different ways to make this happen. Because like I said, operationally, this makes sense. It's just how can we make it work with the biggest complaint that we heard at all those meetings, which was about money. And that's what we're trying to,
reconcile.
Yeah.
So not to get into too much of the weeds, but because I come from a world where everybody makes something different. We don't have ranks, and so I always try to understand on the government side, if these guys were given this promotion, but they weren't given a raise right now, is there a benchmark where they do start increasing their pay, or how do they eventually get up to what those captains are making now?
They would.
Well, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And
if we don't do nothing, they would, yeah.
So
and
they
what
never,
we're,
okay.
And what we're, and so I guess probably the most important thing is I think Chief Ward is trying to conceptually just make sure you're on board with this approach. Does it make sense? And then, I don't think, we need a little more time to see if it resonates with you, and then to work on identifying what compensation strategy might, if any, that we can present to you for approval. I think one thing, and that's what Chief Ward I think is trying to address here too, is if a person goes through this training program and is prepared to step up to be a BC, should there be some adjustment for those people that have taken on the additional responsibility of the occasional times when they have to step up? So that maybe that answers your question, Kelly. So, but that's what we're wrestling with, is trying to figure out. And I guess what we're trying to show too is that we heard the comments from the meetings that we had with people about, that they had a concern about the compensation. So we're trying to be responsive to that too.
So any other questions? Rick Hostetler.
Would you hit those numbers? So you got 3 captains, and that's
3 captains and 12 lieutenants. So 15 total company officers.
so. And how many BCs, battalion chiefs?
3 BCs.
But that's what it's built on right now.
Yes, that's what's existing that currently is.
So they're all basically leadership, but there's a pecking order, like you just described. So I mean, the deal is how you transition financially, right?
Right.
And try to be fair. But do you need that many captains?
Yeah.
I guess
So,
you do.
We do, because basically, we have, three outside stations, Sadeville, Newtown, and Homestead. And then we, out at Station 1, that's where we have run 2 companies out of. So basically, 5 companies total a day, and each of those companies need a company officer in the truck.
And then you have 3 shifts.
Right.
So that's where you,
I mean, maybe that's the key point. And of course, understanding these ranks and what their responsibility are. I mean, the lieutenant right now is in charge of the truck and the 2 staff. What we're suggesting is that the captain will be in charge of the truck and the 2 staff.
and one thought process, I think what you're considering is those individuals that meet the qualifications and the requirements to ride up as BC might realize some type of additional compensation because of that qualification. But you didn't want to make any suggestions tonight. They're just trying to present the proposal, let the court wrap their head around it. Let's come back on the work session, have some further question and answer, and then determine what the pleasure of the court is on how to go forward.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, Ryan Pratt.
Sorry, has there been any thought to eliminating the lieutenant position and then just, not completely, but as, captain's positions open up, just promote lieutenants to captains, and then over time, through attrition and through turnover and what have you, that you just wouldn't fill the lieutenant's positions and then just add more captains that way? Would that work, or have y'all considered that, or is that not going to work? I mean, I know you'd eventually then lose lieutenants and there'd be some confusion, but it might be an easier way to get it done.
That's something that I guess they could consider and put on, let them look at that and how that could play out and get back with everybody.
I'm sure you've already looked at the numbers. If you just did a straight, take all the lieutenants to captain, I'm not saying we do that, but what kind of have you looked at that yet, or?
No, I mean,
With that many lieutenants, it seems like that might be significant.
it would be a significant, I mean, I haven't done that exact calculation, but I think we ballparked it somewhere around $150,000 to $200,000 probably.
And didn't want to do that just because of the job descriptions being so close. I mean, is that?
That's exactly the point here, is that.
In trying to. Rob Jones.
So I'm just thinking about my crew, we have electricians and we have leaders, and it moves on up. But those leaders, even though they're all on the same platform, they all don't make the same money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They could be called captains.
Right.
They all don't make the same money.
And that's
So is there like a rank
Well, there is.
file system that, this
Well,
guy,
they-
since he's got more experience, he's making more, a little bit more?
Absolutely. I mean,
You know
we
what I'm saying?
still have a pay structure and a pay scale, and those people who either came to us with more experience might be in a little bit different spot on the pay scale, or people who have just been here longer.
Yeah.
Earn more than those that have been here just for a few years. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, there is a difference in pay.
Yeah, our current 12 lieutenants, not all of them make the same amount of money. It just depends their months of service here on, what they're.
So it sounds like maybe their title would change, but their job description wouldn't change. So,
That's correct, yeah.
and why would the money have to go up to a captain's pay?
Well, I think that's why they didn't.
That's the point.
They didn't recommend, hey, let's do X.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that again.
Question, Judge.
David Livingston.
So I guess what I've been thinking about is you're eliminating that opportunity to go from firefighter to lieutenant. And now you would automatically go, if you're promoted, to captain. So how do you so you've got a gap between where a firefighter is to a lieutenant to a captain. Now we're going to have a much larger gap potentially between firefighter and captain. So we're going to have to fill that gap because there's not people to bridge to higher salary to furthering the career. I mean, there's so many things to work out.
Yeah, and like we mentioned it, and that's what we're trying to navigate through here, because operational, as far as the workflow and all the operational goes, it makes perfect sense. But again, we're just trying to, based on those meetings that we had with our company officers, we're trying to, brainstorm how can we get here and not necessarily make everyone happy, because you're not always going to make everyone happy, but how can we get to the finish line in some kind of compromise fashion or some form? And, again, the pay was the biggest complaint of it all. And, again, if we were to do this, we would eliminate the possibility down the road, somebody promoting to an open captain position, and they lose the opportunity to get that increase.
So I would, unless there's any other, real pressing question, I would ask you to think about questions, maybe email Jeff and Chief Ward and copy myself, and then we can share those answers with everyone, and then we can come back at the work session and try to do a Q&A. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, Judge, first I'm going to say a compliment, then I'm going to share my frustration. Yeah. First of all, I want to say y'all did a great job coming under budget for the 24-25 fiscal year. And if you don't know, they were about $200,000 or plus under budget. So thank you all for your leadership. The flip side of things, it's very aggravating when we just passed the budget in June to now be looking at changing the monies and doing these things. I wish we would have addressed this back in the spring. We just went through all this budget stuff, and now here we are in July, and we're looking at possibly changing it. So that's my frustration with it all. So.
And one of the conversations in respect to that question, because I certainly understand and respect that, in conversations with Michelle, of course you could not make everybody a captain and do that maximum. But if there was some type of intermediate adjustment, I asked Michelle if the current budget could cover it, and Michelle is nodding her head yes. And but no number. And I understand your frustration. It's just it's a very big challenge. And then to defend Chief Ward and such, this has been a conversation that's taken place more than once, and even prior to me being judge, I believe. So, I respect your opinion and frustration. I understand, but I don't want them to, have that covered on them, because it's
they're trying to do what's best for their department, no doubt, and I see that.
Yeah. Any other questions? With that said, then we'll move, and thank you all.
Thank you all.
All right. We have an EMA travel request.
No,
That's just an EMS. So it was just a typo. Yeah. I apologize. We'll skip on down. I shared this contract agreement with Otis Elevator related to the Sheriff's Office. Emailing back and forth. We're still trying to hammer out just a little bit of wordsmith in the contract. But the main thing is the level of service. I recommend doing $140 a month. It's a quarterly service. They do preventive maintenance in that. It's the middle of the road level. That would be my recommendation. I think JR and Jeremy looked at it and would say the same thing. I would ask you all to consider approving this contingent on CAM's approval of the language being amended to meet his requirements.
So that's for the Sheriff's Department, right?
Sheriff's Department.
So when would that actually start? I mean, typically,
They'll do it quarterly, and I think when we sign it, then they would start.
Typically, I mean, when we build a building, my light's got to work for a year, or I get a phone call for one light, 20 lights. I would think there should be something in the contract now as a warranty for a certain amount of time. I would think. Maybe it's not there. I could be wrong.
I'll have to check, and I'll ask Cam and Stacy to help me bird dog that.
And then the other question is who, I know Otis is the one to put that elevator in, so it's kind of tough to, although it's just hydraulics, but those people like to stay proprietary, if I said that right, but who's doing the maintenance on the courthouse elevator?
DC.
Yeah, and that's
There's
probably,
really no maintenance, they just do the inspection.
well, that's what I mean, but if they find a problem
Yeah.
during their quarterly inspection, same thing Otis is going to do at the sheriff's department, right? Anyhow, my first comment is just that
The
I would
current
think.
sheriff's office uses Schindler, and we use DC, everybody who uses whoever. Obviously,
and
they're
Otis is-
cheaper in the beginning, they
Otis
go up
is-
over time.
Right.
Otis is the installer of this one.
I get it, but I think the first thing we should check and see if they don't owe us some kind of a warranty. Maybe they don't. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Been wrong
Well,
before.
I'll definitely bird dog that, and check that out. If you all want to put this off till
Well, Cam reviewed it and had just a few suggestions, and they already replied back. We just need the actual paperwork.
They kind of replied, you're correct, they've replied with like responses to my suggestions, but they haven't given us like the new draft.
Updated, yeah.
But I still think Rick wants an answer to the warranty question.
Yeah.
And I think we can wait till the next meeting. I mean,
And all that does is give us
yeah.
a start time.
yeah, we were just trying to,
Go for this.
and your question is a very valid question, and let's get it answered, and we'll come back.
Does it not have to be done before August 4th when they move? No?
I'll
Okay.
double
I'll
check.
just put it on the next
Yeah.
agenda.
All right. Number 16, street legal special purpose vehicles discussion. We have shared data from that survey. We've talked about this at a couple meetings. I can pull up just the survey that we shared. We had 288 responses. This one's 99.3% from Scott County. The next one's a little bit more telling. 286 responses. 73.8% of those responses were responded they were residents of Georgetown, and then 14.3 with none of the above, which lets you think that they're in the county, rural part of the county, and then you got Sadieville and Stamping around there, probably more like 8% each in there. The next, do you own or operate a street legal special purpose vehicle? 288 responses, 66% said no, 21.5 of those were yes, and then 12.5 no, but I plan to. Just gives you a little picture of who's responding and their interest. Next slide. In general, do you support the fiscal court adopting an ordinance to allow street legal SPVs on certain county roads? Strongly support was 32.4. Somewhat support was probably a more in the, I need to go back and look, but it was more like 13, 14%. And then neutral was even smaller, but then somewhat opposed was 8.7, and 46.3 was strongly opposed. So if you add those two together, you're up there 55%, and you know that's just giving you a picture of the respondents and how they, if they have support or if they oppose. Next slide. Do you believe allowing SPVs would have a positive or a negative or neutral effect on quality of life? Positive was 29.6, neutral 13.9, negative 52.6, and then not sure was that smaller sliver. So I think I had one more slide, and it was kind of a, like, what do you see as the potential benefits and, convenience to local traffic? It just goes down through that list, and I can share that. It's just really too small to be able to share. But that was kind of like people could share their answer on an open-ended such. So I just really want to hear what the pleasure of the court is on how to go forward. And the way this Senate Bill 63 is that governmental entity, county and city, has to make it legal to operate on a road in their jurisdiction. They have to adopt an ordinance making it approved to operate those on a roadway. So would love to hear from you all.
Somebody had a question.
Question?
Yeah, it's David. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you or Cam refresh our memories on what roads they are forbidden to travel on in the statute?
Well, I know they can't, it's like, the interstate and roads like that. I can find the language if you give me a minute.
Well, I was wondering about like 25, because 25 is a federal.
They would be, Sheriff Nettles?
They're not allowed any limited access highways being interstates.
Interstate, they're not allowed on, but they're allowed on 25. But one of the...
Roadway that's divided by a center line no greater than 20 miles on that road.
And that's what I was going to say, the caveat of no greater than 20 miles from their destination.
So was there a speed limit? Was there a speed limit restriction?
Says the highway
is 55.
They can't operate if the highway is a controlled access system, including but not limited to an interstate or parkway, or the United States Department of Agriculture prohibits special purpose vehicles where the highway is located. So those are the two places the statute prohibits them.
But on 25, Sheriff Nettles, JR, remind me the range of speed limits on US 25. I mean, I think it's 55 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Was that a question you had, David?
I couldn't remember if there was a restriction for access based on the speed limit, which doesn't.
There's not.
Don't believe there is. No. Other comments?
I'll make a comment. I've talked to several constituents, and I've had all negative replies. Safety being a big concern. They don't feel like UTVs handle like cars, and if you're going down the road, you may not be able to get off and move as quickly. Some of the people I've talked to that live in subdivisions that are 5-acre tracts, it could be a nuisance if people want to just drive up and down their road, and they feel like that they would not want to have to deal with that. So I've just not had any positive comments.
Other comment?
So I don't know if it's correct to call them a UTV. These vehicles got to be, in my view, much better than a motorcycle.
But they can be UTV, right?
Yes.
They can be, as long as they meet all the requirements, roll bar,
I mean, I've got one myself, and I wouldn't want to drive it down the roads because it does not handle like a car.
Right. Well, I've had people that contacted me just the opposite. Of course, I have the privilege to serve mostly rural, and folks do ride them. They ride them on the road anyhow, even though it's. I said, just don't tell me.
Yeah, that's the way I am too. The ones I've talked to, they're all for it too. They can't wait to get their little tag and get out on the roads and drive them to the store.
I'm kind of like Kelly. I've heard nothing but negative from the people that talk to me about it.
Any other comments?
Our HOAs,
I'd say the same.
HOAs able to restrict access in neighborhoods.
David, could you restate that? We had.
Are HOAs able to restrict access in neighborhoods?
It's a public roadway, unless it's the only neighborhood I would be aware of would be Victoria Estates being a private roadway. But HOAs cannot supersede what this body would decide. So, and I see Jailer Broyle shaking his head in affirmation. His years as a KSP, I think, would. And Sheriff Nettles, would you agree with that?
Yeah, Rich Ornstein has also said the same thing.
Yeah.
I think my view is if the court wanted to exempt certain neighborhoods, you'd probably have to say in the ordinance, you can't operate them on these roads and list the roads you don't want them operating on, you know.
But I
think it's
I know,
confusing
I
as far
agree.
as law enforcement and just.
I would be very hesitant and would not support doing that.
Yeah.
And I know you weren't saying that.
No, I was just saying that.
You were just saying if you
wanna
could,
go down that path, that's how
if
you'd
you
have
want to
to
go down that path, that's what you'd have to do. But that would be very difficult on our law enforcement.
Has the city of Georgetown made any statements?
City of Georgetown, as far as I know, has not made any statement. We had an interlocal meeting. We discussed this at the interlocal meeting. I'll be honest with you, I felt like the city of Georgetown was waiting to see what we did before proceeding.
And I think if the court wanted to pass an ordinance, it would just apply to the county, wouldn't apply to the roads in the jurisdictional limits of the city or Stamping Ground or Sadieville. So they'd have to make their own decision either way.
And that's the way I understand it as well.
I think it's important to say the ag is exempt, because everybody I've talked to doesn't care either way, because they're already going to be allowed to continue riding them.
Oh, for
They're exempt,
agricultural
yes.
purposes?
And that's in the
Right.
statute, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't want
wondered-
people to forget that.
The confusion would be if we have county roads approved, city roads or not, state roads or not, and then it's really confusing.
I think there was a discussion, Joe Pat, at that meeting that, whatever, it would make sense for both entities to do the same thing, whatever they do.
I have a comment as well.
Ryan Pratt.
Yeah, I would just say, this came up on the webinar that we had a couple weeks ago, and then also at the conference we were at in June, I think it was, that the whole purpose behind the special purpose vehicles is for tourism, and I totally get it, and I'm all for there's communities that need it. But we don't have trails in Scott County. But people aren't riding, going from one UTV park to the next. And that's basically what I've heard from everybody I've talked to is, if we had trails here where people needed it and it would help support business here, great. But the whole purpose of the law wasn't to allow somebody to go from their house to the grocery store and back home. Like that's, the law was to support tourism. And so that's, I haven't really heard anybody that's in favor of it.
Be happy to entertain any public comment. Would ask you to keep your comments to, abbreviated, I don't want to say 4 minutes, but I would be happy to entertain any public comment.
Y'all again, my name is Mark Smith. I've traveled around a little bit and met with some of the city and county folks in other areas on this, and it makes me very much appreciate this body, so I like y'all. Most of you. I think, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So real quick, I would clarify that this is not for ATVs. This is not for motorcycles with handlebars, right, with 4 wheels and handlebars. This is for UTVs. This is a steering wheel, sit down, requires a roll cage, requires federal standards met, seatbelts and harnesses, right? So I think fundamentally, some people are a little shocked at that. They think it's ATVs. Some people initially are shocked because there's change and it's something kind of different, and you hear some of those comments of, well, why do they want to do this, or why is this important? I would disagree, by the way, that while it certainly makes a lot of sense in the tourism counties, that was not specifically the intent. It's for the entire state, and I was part of some of that stuff as it was created. The part that I would remind you of is the role of government. I think most of us would agree on this, is not to grant rights, right? It's to protect rights. And so I think I personally am probably not going to do this, right? But I think that the folks who want to have a very valid case, right? The higher authority here, being the state government, has already said this is fine, right? And they've given the pathway to do that. With excellent safety requirements, insurance required, all the things that automobiles have to have, and far more than motorcycles and scooters and classic cars and convertible cars have to have, right? So I think where we would object, at least where I would object to anyone's rights, is when they start to impact the rights of others, right? So I believe you should be able to shoot a gun, but you can't shoot it in a neighborhood, right? You can't shoot it where the bullet may end up in somebody else's backyard. So the question is not, does this sound like fun to you, or where do they want to take them to? That kind of doesn't matter and isn't really our business. The question is, what's the negative to anyone else, right? So if these things are safe and they're certified, and the person is willing to accept whatever risk there is in operating one on the road, why do we care? What role would we have in standing in the way of that? So I think as I've talked to a lot of folks, I meet folks on both sides, you hear a lot of, well, why would anybody want to do that? Well, who cares, right? That's their question to answer. So to me, it's I don't see, whether you like it or dislike it, I have a hard time seeing a sound argument against it, assuming they follow the rules, get the certifications, and do everything that the law requires. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. With that said, I'll go back to what I said at the start. What is, for these vehicles to be allowed to be operated and approved for operation on county roadways, there has to be an ordinance, and it has to be presented, and you have to consider that ordinance and then go from there. So to this point, we've not had a request to have a ordinance drafted and call the question. So that's what I feel like. We really have tried to take a measured approach to get feedback. We've done survey. I don't know how else to do a survey, and it was the survey we did perfect? Absolutely not. But it was an effort to get feedback from the community, and it by no means is that perfect. But we've talked about this at a couple meetings. We've had discussion at interlocal meeting. So I think doing our due diligence to get feedback before making a decision. I think it's a real important decision because you can't it's very hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. You make a decision. I think you all are very, very aware and try to make a informed decision. You always do. So I think we've done that, and we're at a point where if someone would like a ordinance presented, then that's what Cam will do, and we'll share it and go from there.
I'd like
Judge,
David Livingston.
could we, before we just draw up an ordinance or use the sample ordinance that was provided, could we potentially ask CAECO to ask the more suburban member counties what they have done in their communities, not horrible, but counties that were similar to Scott?
We certainly can ask for some feedback from CAECO and our colleagues in other counties. We've got the workshop coming up, so maybe we could get that information. We can't consider anything until our next business meeting, but we could certainly draft a draft ordinance and then try to get feedback from our similar suburban type of communities, and then share that at the workshop. But I've heard from Magistrate Rick Hostetler he would like to have an ordinance presented. So Cam,
and I think at least we could start with as David mentioned, I think they have a sample ordinance, or CAECO put something together.
That won't be.
I'm wondering, I've heard that some of the eastern Kentucky, the mountain counties, are already in this process, but I'm not sure if anybody's actually done it.
There's been multiple already pass it.
Oh, well,
I feel certain there have been.
Probably beneficial just to see why reinvent the wheel if we don't have to?
Because the point is to see counties like us.
I'd like to see that information too. No, I don't disagree, but I thought as we go through the process, we have something else to look at and compare.
Well, one more thought that somebody brought to me one day was, what's the difference in this UTV and somebody taking their doors off their Jeep and holding their leg out the door, riding down the road? Somebody brought the same, and I was like, they're the same, you know?
Well, so what we have is a request to draft an ordinance. Cam will do that. We'll try to get feedback from CAECO and similar type suburban counties. And then we'll have discussion at.
I'll try to have it something drafted by the work session.
For next Friday, first Friday.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
I have one more comment.
Kelly Corman.
Question, and I don't know if it's possible to somehow involve the city and ask them what direction they're going, but part of this puzzle for me is I'd like to know what everybody's doing.
No, I'll do that as well. Yes, sir.
So do you think we ought to also ask Stamping?
Oh, yeah, we'll ask Stamping Ground Sayville as well.
Just kind of get a feel, because
They're gonna have to make
city's
their own
not
call.
in it, or Sayville, or Stamping Ground, it really gets confusing then if we try to pass it, in my opinion.
I agree.
All right. Thank you all for your thoughtfulness, and thanks for your comments as well. New business. I think we've covered everything I had.
Software.
The software, thank you.
What do you do without you?
I mean, this agreement was 15 pages. And it was a whole, it was a whole lot to consider. Jailer Broyles, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening again, Judge, and thanks for y'all's time in looking at the contract. I did go ahead and I've discussed it with Cam. Cam and I had a meeting with this company's attorney. Cam had some suggestions for changes, which I believe they incorporated all those changes. I had a few suggestions as well. Essentially, this contract will allow us down at the jail to incorporate some technology which will make the jail even safer and more secure than what it is now. And I think we run a very safe and secure facility right now, but we can always do better. We always strive to do better. And so this technology that we would get with this company would allow us to do that. We would run an even better operation down there. It's a $4,500 annual fee. That would not be paid with taxpayer money. We pay for that out of the canteen, at least for the first year, to see how it goes. It's a one-year contract. It can be renewed. So what I want to do is go ahead and sign the contract, get it to them, get the technology and the software incorporated at the jail, and see how it goes for the next year. I think it's going to be a big plus for us. Basically what it is it's a task management system. And so again, it offers some hardware, it offers some software for this. So essentially what will be provided to us, and this is at additional cost as well, the $4,500 is just to operate the system for the year. For an additional $5,000, which again would be paid out of the canteen. It's not going to come out of the budget or out of the taxpayers' money. But what that additional $5,000 up front is going to get us is it's going to get us wristbands for the inmates, and it's going to get us, for lack of a better word, these little beacons or buttons that we put throughout the facility. And it will also get us devices to scan with, which are very similar to an iPhone. So the staff will be issued one of these scanning devices for the shift. They will then, as they do their rounds, go around and scan, oh, I'm at cell 206, beep. It will go ahead and log that into the Cadmus system. If we pass trays, we'll be able to scan the inmate's wrist and then pass them a tray. If we pass razors, we'll be able to scan the inmate's wrist,
safety razors.
Yes, yeah. But as we pass razors, we'll scan the inmate's wrist, we'll give them the razor. When we go back to get the razors, we'll scan the inmate and get the razor back. So it's, in all honesty, right now we're writing all this stuff down, and then it is incumbent on the staff to go and manually log this into the system. This would be a much better way for us to do it. A more complete way, a more solid way for us to be tracking razors, to be tracking trays, to be doing rounds. An added benefit of this system is that we will put into the Cadmus system that, hey, rounds need to be done every, say, 30 minutes. If for some reason an area of the jail does not get its rounds done within that 30-minute period, then they will get a reminder alert, and also the supervisor will get a reminder alert on the desktops and on their devices. So oftentimes it gets so busy down at the jail, the supervisor can't keep up with, oh, have they done the rounds upstairs, without going and manually checking or verbally checking them on the radio. This will keep those rounds getting done in a timely fashion, which they should be getting done, which we all want them to get done.
Kind of like an accounting system, basically, to make sure that everybody's accountable for everything.
That's exactly right. It makes the deputies themselves much more accountable to the tasks that they're supposed to be performing, and it gives the supervisors a tool to track them throughout the shift to make sure that they're completing their tasks. And that's just with rounds. We can also put into the system, razors need to be passed at this time. Razors need to be picked up at this time. And again, if they're not picked up at a certain time, then they all get an alert saying, hey, this task has not been done. You need to go do it. So it's got multiple pluses to it. I see no downside to it. Again, I don't want to use any budgetary money for it. I want to try it out for a year, see how it goes, but I think it's going to be a big plus for us. The contract, I think Cam ended up and I ended up being happy with the final version of it.
Yeah. Darren, the only thing I agree with what the one-year term, it doesn't look like they changed that language, so we need to make sure they do that. It looks like it still reads 5 years in the
No,
new
they
draft.
did change it. I don't know if you have the most updated.
I may not have laid eyes on that change. If they've done that,
They
that's
have,
fine.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the version I have took out the 5-year.
It's on
The one you sent me.
Yes.
on like page 14.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
So on page 14 now, Cam, under 1301,
Yeah.
it ends after effective date.
What
The
about
ini- The
what is
initial
the
term
ne-
of this agreement commences as of the effective date.
What does section 1302 say?
Let's see.
Yeah.
The agreement will be considered to remain effective for successive year terms unless earlier terminated pursuant to this agreement's express provisions, or either party gives the other party written notice of non-renewal at least 30 days prior to the expiration of the then current term, open parentheses, each a contract term, and collectively together with the initial term, comma, the term, close parentheses.
Okay, I got you. I just had.
So, yeah, I apologize if I did
That's all
not
right.
get you.
No, that's what we wanted, so that's fine.
The version, the updated version that he sent us the other day, he had left the 5-year part
Yeah,
in there.
and then you
so
responded.
I responded,
So you
and
took that out.
I failed to get that to you. So
That's fine.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
fault. I can get you a
I
copy.
thought I copied you, Cam, I'm sorry.
Any other
Well,
questions?
it's got in there what we wanted, so I'm good.
Right, yeah. Thanks
I
for
do
your
have a
help.
question.
Thanks.
Question from David Livingston.
Yes.
And this could go to Cam and to Jayla Broyles. How is, let's say you decide to do this and you do it we do it for 2 or 3 years and then move away from it for some reason. What's the record keeping after that
Thanks.
time?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of your question there.
I think what David said was, say we transition away from Cadmus in 3 years, is there a way to take the data and transition it to the new system, whatever system we might use? Was that your question, David?
Yeah, in case we're ever sued.
I think they have the control of the data. They own the data. That's what it said. The contract said they own it.
So I'm not sure if the data from Cadmus could be migrated into a new system. I do believe that it could stand alone and we could continue to access it separately from a different tracking system.
I think the contract said they own it. Essentially.
Yeah.
They own the data.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, David. We'd probably have to ask him. I don't know.
But it's 1 year, and Rick, do you have a comment?
So what's the annual fee, 1-year fee?
It's $4,500.
And that includes?
That includes them providing the software and providing any kind of assistance or IT assistance.
What about
with it.
like the bracelets and?
All of that is separate. So $4,500 for the software and the IT assistance with it for a year, and then another $5,000 for bracelets for these devices that scan, for the buttons or the beacons that we put throughout the facility that they would scan.
But you're using canteen money for all of it.
Yes.
And I want to commend the jailer for doing that too. I appreciate you going that approach instead of using tax dollars, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if it's effective and you feel like it's something you can put into your budget in the future, if you want to, if canteen might need to be allocated somewhere else, canteen money.
That's exactly what I was thinking, honestly, Judge, was this first year, we did not get it into the budget, and I think for a trial period the first year, I thought it was very reasonable to go ahead and use the canteen money. If it's effective and we want to stick with it, then I would talk to you all about getting it in the budget.
Any other
subsequent years.
questions or comments?
So for the bracelets and that kind of thing, it's an extra fee of like $5,000, I think you just said.
Correct, yeah.
But, so for 1 year, this term, for 1 year, they're gonna maintain anything that breaks or any of the devices or whatever.
Right.
And then to me, it sounds like a huge labor saver, mainly mentally, for your staff. Because if they're penciling all this. Right? I mean.
Well,
I'm sure you have a system, but.
It is a labor saver, but it is, again, going back to what Rob or Chad said, it is accountability.
Yeah.
And it's really going to help with the accountability down there.
Well, not only, I get that, but still, I think it will help on the staff stress level.
Mm-hmm.
Because my thoughts are going back to when you said you've had some nights where 3 different, PD, GPD, and Sheriff's Office and State Police brought you 12, 14 inmates.
Right.
That's pretty loaded up, isn't it?
Right.
While you're still trying to do everything else. And then, so they've got the reminders.
Yes.
You get loaded up with intakes and you go, wait a minute, it's binging on my iPhone here.
Right.
We got to go collect razors or whatever, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
just
so-
seems to me like there's a whole lot of relief there as well, taking the pressure off and letting the electronics do
There's a lot of structural duties that they're responsible for, and it's so easy to get distracted.
Yeah.
Something occurs in a cell, new intake, combative intake, just whatever happens, and it's easy to get off task. And then sometimes they have difficulties getting back and hitting that task.
Well, I do think David's got a legitimate concern about who owns the data.
Yeah.
Somebody.
That's what's worrying me at this point, because with the bracelets, would they be tagged to a person's name or?
Mm-hmm.
So if they own the data, that information could get out and they could just do whatever they wanted to with it later. I think that's the only thing that worries me about. I like the idea of.
Well, the inmate, is he?
There's a HIPAA
There's a HIPAA
agreement.
agreement there, but,
Okay.
but the inmate probably identified by a number, right?
Well, on the bracelet, it will actually have a picture of the inmate and their jacket number. And the purpose of the picture is because we have such a transient population in and out so much, sometimes it's difficult for the staff to identify just on site who an inmate is. So that's an additional benefit for them, is to be able to see the picture on the bracelet and see the face and know that they are scanning the correct inmate, that the bracelet belongs to the inmate essentially.
Well, from my viewpoint, I'm all for it, but I'm concerned about who owns the data a year from now. If you don't decide to renew, and then a year and a half from now, somebody comes back and sues over whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have, at least the way you're record keeping now, you own it, we own it.
Right.
Right? And you
Yep.
have it. I think that's legitimate, but I'm thinking,
So would it be?
damn, could that be worked out?
We have access.
So what I'm hearing is let's determine about access to the data. And then, I mean, Darren, is it, I mean, if we wait till getting that answer, that's not a issue.
No problem.
So let's
Yeah.
get the answer to David and your question, and we'll come back, Cam, we'll come back at the work session, share that information, and then, but I definitely think the concept and the approach that Jello Broils has taken with the canteen funding, I think this is, if we can get this answered, then we'll navigate forward. But I do think the pluses are definitely there. So Jello Broils will, if that's okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll navigate that way. And I do think it's a lot of pluses to the potential of it. So
Yeah, okay, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other new business from any?
It says that they will permanently destroy all information once it's canceled.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
you might need to see if they would allow access.
Yeah, that's the question we need to ask. Do we have access to it? So,
Or we can download it.
I have no other new business. Any court member have new business, or anybody in our audience have any business with the court?
Judge, just to say a quick thank you for coming from Stamping Ground and working with those small budgets. I don't know if the court realized it or not, but the check that Stamping Ground State of God was a record check for those two towns this year from the fiscal court. And that means a lot to those two little communities to be able to receive extra money above and what they are budgeted. So thanks to the court for getting those monies to them.
No, that was about $323,000, I believe. I've asked Scott Hall to come at our workshop and give us a Revenue Commission update on last year's collections and distribution. So you all will hear next Friday an update from them about the Revenue Commission and collections and just what's going on there. But Michelle did distribute and calculate that out, and we sent it out as part of part of the distribution out of the budget.
Drainage at the pickleball tennis courts. Have you already instituted that to happen?
Well,
yeah.
JR, we have, I presented that solution saving us $8,000. It might be wise for you all to approve that. It has not started yet just because of weather, like I said in the email, weather permitting, it's just got to dry out. But after talking with Mr. Glass, after he looked closer, instead of using those box drains, he feels like it's best to put in the perforated pipe that will have a sock around it and then putting gravel over it. He thinks it'll be more effective getting drainage as compared to those 3 box drains. So with you bringing that up, any questions about that? I appreciate JR reaching out to try to have a more economical approach.
Sure. Do
So,
you need me to make a motion?
Yeah, would you make a motion?
I think that was $8,000.
$8,000.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to pay. Is it Glass Construction or Glass Excavating?
Yes.
To go and do that
Yes.
work.
Second from Rick Hostetler. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Judge, one more question.
Yes, sir.
I know it affects my district probably more than any other district, but the water line issue, can you address that at all at this point?
Tell you what I'd like to do is I went and met with Chase Azevedo and Les Jarvis, and that was a topic of discussion. And short term, they have looked at solutions that they can control right now as far as timing on filling the Burton water tank, and as far as amount of really looking at adjusting the pumps and the power ratings that go with those. And I'm not a hydrologist, not an engineer, but they feel like that will give us some immediate positive results. They're also looking at an intermediate solution, which might include like the construction of another tank or other options. I will ask Chase as a veto if he would come and give us an update at the work session, just to give us a, direct. It's always better to hear direct from him. But I did immediately go meet with Chase. That was one of the topics, and I was encouraged that there was a short-term solution so people would have access. But let's circle back. The fiscal court, years ago, when Judge Lusby and the fiscal court at that time made the decision to help by allocating funding to add water lines to get water out throughout the whole county. That was not for fire protection. It was just trying to meet that minimum standard of getting water out at that time. We've grown over time. There's been more connections, and there has to be upgrades as you go along, and I think GMWSS is looking at right now, and I'm confident that they'll have a solution that will help move things along. So I'll ask Chase if he's available to come next Friday and just give an update firsthand.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other? Would there be a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion. Second. All those in favor? We are adjourned.